and players smiling.
But Michael Jordan is not only the best basketball player, but he's the most exciting basketball player to ever play.
Tatum fires away, pumps it in, 51 for Jason Tatum.
The Big Three NBA podcast is powered by Prizepicks.
Hello, folks. Welcome to another edition of the Big Three NBA podcast. I'm Sherrod Blakely, joined by the one and only Duane Rankin. We need to start putting like a little number on the appearances that you have on the Big Three, because you might be in. I think you're in the top three as far as folks that we bring on the show. Welcome back, Duane.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. How you doing?
I'm wonderful, and you got a cap back on, which is good, on brand. For those who've not missed the 150 million episodes he's been on, the brother's always rocking some kind of cap. I see you representing the alma mater today, Marshall. Okay.
A little bit.
As you can see behind me, always representing Orange Nation, Syracuse.
We see it.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's what we do. Before we get into the fun today, just want to give a quick shout out and just let folks know that this is the Big Three NBA podcast, part of the CLNS Media Network, which is where you'll find the Big Three NBA podcast, past and present episodes, as well as a ton of Boston Celtics / NBA related content. This is what we do. And whether the games are going or for most of us, things are a little slower now, we're still cranking out content that is worth your consumption, which is why we got my man Duane from the Arizona Republic in the building today. Duane covers the Phoenix Suns, and the Phoenix Suns are doing – there's death, taxes, new coach in Phoenix Suns. It's going to happen every year. It's going to happen like clockwork. And once again, the Phoenix Suns have a new head coach.
Right.
Let me just make sure I get the math right. This is number 4 in 4 years, correct?
This will be the fourth head coach in 4 seasons, correct?
Tell us about the newest member, but don't get too comfortable. Rent, don't buy if you're coaching the Phoenix Suns. But who's the newest head coach for the Suns, and what should we expect from this guy, Mr. Hot?
I think Jordan I will get more than one season. I know it sounds crazy.
That's a hot take coming from.
I think he'll get more than one season because, well, let's start with the Michigan State ties. Mm-hmm. He went to Michigan State as a graduate assistant, which Coach Tom Izzo informed me when I said, yeah, he's been with you for 5 years. He said, actually, I think it was 7 or 8 because he was a graduate assistant for me for 2 or 3 years. And then he was the video coordinator for 5 years before he started his NBA coaching career with the Atlanta Hawks as a video coordinator under who? Mike Budenholzer.
The man he's replacing. And right. Folks, and folks, just a quick reminder for folks: the reason we're beginning with the Michigan State connection is because the owner of the Suns used to play for Tom Izzo,
yes.
And it's there's a nice. Well, I'm not.
And the assistant coach used to coach under Izzo and was on the 2000 national championship team as an assistant. That Ishbia was a walk-on with the Flintstones, Cleves, Peterson, and.
Mo P.
No, I said Mo P.
You did? Charlie Bell.
Oh
man.
Charlie Bell.
I love all Mo. I had Mateen Cleaves as a rookie when I was in Detroit. Literally, his first year in the NBA was my first year covering the NBA, and wow. I enjoyed having Mateen Cleaves around. Yes. It was kind of real salty how things ended in Detroit. I mean, he literally got traded on his birthday, which was weird. I'm literally calling him up, saying, "Man, I'm sorry that you're going to Sacramento." He's like, "Man, the worst part about it? They traded me on my birthday."
Oh no!
I was like, "Damn."
He got a few years out of Sac though.
He did, and he got overall. I think he got like 6 or 7 years. 14th pick in the draft. So he did his thing. He got some years. He got more than a cup of coffee.
Could have won a championship. Could have been part of a championship team had that been the Game 6 in LA. Yeah,
and he got more than a cup of coffee in the NBA. He actually got a refill. Shout out to my man Mateen Cleaves.
Right. But those are the ties. Those are the connections that's leading us to going down to Michigan State, the Sparty path, as we would say.
Yes. And you mentioned, we were just kind of joking about it, just the lack of continuity with new coach every year. How is that playing out with the players, because I mean, I gotta believe that whenever there's any kind of change, you've been around the league long enough to know change is never easy, particularly when you're a player, you're going to a different coaching style. How do guys like Devin Booker, for example, how is he dealing with this change? Because once again, he's got a new coach that he's got to break in and get to know, and they got to get to know him. How are players like Devin Booker dealing with all this change?
I think this is Devin's 8th coach in 11 seasons.
Damn.
I think that's the number for him. So he's been through the gauntlet of coaches. He actually was part of the coaching process as far as the search and talking and putting his input and which he's a franchise guy. So he probably should have a say in what happens. And I've been told he's in favor of Ott. So that's a good thing. And then Ott, looking at Ott just really quick, and told he's a grinder, and that he was ready to be an NBA head coach. Like, this is not someone that is out the blue. We get the Michigan State ties, but he was, from what I've been told by multiple guys, multiple sources in the league, this guy was ready to be an NBA head coach. Strong offense, strong defense, strong in the film room, strong in player development. I've just told, I spoke with Darvin Ham. I have a story coming out on him later on in the week.
That's my guy.
Darvin was saying that he can fit in any room. Rich of the rich, poor to poor, franchise guys, super duper superstars, as he put it, guys that's struggling to stay in the leagues, and he fits all of them. Said he will have a plan for each guy coming on the team on what the future will be for them. And so, but when you look at year by year by year, the thing about the Suns has been crazy. The roster has changed from year to year. So really, it's like, okay, guys are coming in and they're figuring out new systems. Maybe if they had a certain system in place, and they may be an easier fit in going in. But bottom line is that, they're going to probably do an overhaul, because we'll talk about obviously later what the plans are with Kevin Durant, and they'll probably do another overhaul. They kind of stayed with the core roster from Vogel to Budenholzer. So if they did stick with that, but now with a new coach, they're probably going to, if you stay over the second tax apron, you're going to have to reshuffle and bring in a bunch of vet minimum guys like you did, because you're losing some vet minimum guys that you had initially to begin with. So, yeah, the roster will change, but it is tough for Devin. I mean, he comes in open-minded. Hey, man, I'm rolling with you. Let's do this. And then he probably goes about midway season. He's like, man, what is this? Like, what are we doing? I'm trying to figure this out. I mean, it was with Budenholzer. Look, man, it was so crazy early in the year, because Budenholzer was playing him a certain way as far as taking him out in the first quarter. And Devin was like, look, man, I've been used to playing the whole first quarter for most of my career. Now I got to come out the game, then go back in the game. And he's like, he said we're supposed to discuss this. Devin already had the timetable on when they were going to discuss the rotation. So that's where the whole new coach come in. Okay, what's the adjustment for him? And now it probably will be another adjustment for him with the new head coach. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, you touched on something that, it's the elephant in the room when you talk about the Phoenix Suns, and it goes by the name of Kevin Durant. And I would say the baby elephant in the room that people probably should be talking about, but they know they really can't talk about because there's not a whole lot you can do about it, and that's Bradley Beal. Let's talk about the big elephant first. Kevin Durant. What in the world can they do with Kevin Durant? Because I don't think it's just a coincidence that, as you hear about some of the changes that the Suns were making, particularly with that coach, you didn't hear a peep from Kevin Durant.
Right. Yeah.
So what's happening with KD?
He's gonna get moved. I mean, if he doesn't get moved, then it would be the biggest shock of the summer. I mean, you can go back during the season. It's like this isn't working, and this guy is too far into the career to be on teams that it's not working. You know what I mean? Like someone of his stature, what he's accomplished, shouldn't be on a 36-win team. That just shouldn't happen. So it's time to go. I mean, he came here with they had big hopes, dreams, win a championship with him, and they ran into Denver. I don't know. I think if they don't run into Denver, maybe they go a next step, and who knows? Because him and Booker, that first little stint they had, they were cooking. I mean, it was like, ooh, this right here it could be. And then they say, well, let's throw Bradley Beal into this, and let's move Chris Paul, and yeah, and then we've been where we are. And it's not to blame Brad,
right?
But it just didn't work, and it's time for Durant to move on. And if you're the Suns, you're hoping you can get some picks back. You're hoping to get look. If I'm trading, I want picks. And I want 2 starters out of this. 2 guys I'm bringing in. I'm plugging them in and starting line. I don't need to even look at what you're going to do rest of the roster. These 2 are starting for me moving forward. If and again, I know the price, they're saying it's going to lower it a little bit because you're not going to get back what you gave up to get Durant. That's not going to happen. And if you do that, then it's time to make Brian Gregory GM of the year now. If they gave up for Durant, put Brian Gregory GM of the year right now. But they ain't got to worry about that because that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you're not going to get the Rudy Gobert package. That ship will never sail again. That ship sailed, and everyone's like, wait, did that ship just leave the dock? Yup, and it ain't never coming back, ever. You mentioned Bradley Beal, and and because of the team struggles, and they just coincided when he arrived. A lot of I imagine fans believe that he's the reason why they're not.
The reason, right? No question.
And I guess the thing that I come back, I'm going to roll with that culinary track that you started about the cooking. Is that sometimes every good spice isn't a good spice together. Sometimes you can't just be mixing spices that are good on their own or with other spices together with other good spices because it might not have the right flavor balance. And it seems that with the Suns, there's a bit of an imbalance when it comes to coming up with wins and playing good basketball and having balance on the court. You got 3 great players who can score the rock, and then you pretty much have crickets around them. Not a whole lot's going on because we got these 3, and who else we got? And then you get like, oh. So I guess my question to you is, what can they do with I think the 2 are one and the same to some extent. Bradley Beal / rest of the roster, because Durant, I think most people agree is going to be moved. Booker, you could move him, but why? Doesn't make any sense to move him. Beal is kind of like the in-between. Like, you really would like to move him and get some stuff in return, but can you do that? And if you do that, you should be able to kind of fortify that roster a bit. What's the vibe around Bradley Beal and his future in Phoenix?
Well, first, the no trade clause. And it's
just, damn, I forgot about the NTC. That's right.
No trade clause. So it's kind of like, I will say this. I mean, they obviously, if you're going to move Brad, then you have to find a spot for him that he wants, and what he wants. And that's going to be hard to do because then the team has to want him. So that's what the problem before the deadline. It was mixing and matching. And, again, I've described it like a Rubik's Cube. They get one side right and this side right and this side right, and then they look at, oh dang, that ain't gonna work. Okay,
I got 3 yellows, 2 reds, and blue on this other side. Damn.
Right. Okay, let's go in it again. Right. So that's what was happening in trying to move the guy. I think that with Brad, that the way Devin his game has evolved into being able to be a playmaker, that now Brad can play off of that, and then he would be, and then he could average. If you're taking out Durant's 26, somebody's got to feel that, right? So Beal could feel some of that and average 20 something. The problem will be, is he going to stay healthy? He hasn't played more than 60 games in years. He played 53 for 2 straight years for the Suns. He seems to be always hurt. So if I'm the Suns, I'm going into it. If Bradley Beal's on the roster, I'm like, look, he's only going to play X amount again. Let's just pencil him in for X amount, and let's have a plan. When he doesn't play, this is where we're going. When he does play, this is what we're doing. And you don't want to coach like that, but you almost have to with Brad. And it's all about the contract. If Bradley Beal was making $20 million less, it was $30 million instead of $50 million, the numbers could be okay, they'd be more tolerable. But the fact that he's at $53 million and ridiculous number in the minds of those who are looking at the numbers and going, it just doesn't add up. I'm not mad at Bradley Beal for taking a $251 million contract.
Can never be mad about that.
I'm not mad at him for doing that. I'm not mad he got no trade clause. Okay, only person in the league who has a no trade clause besides him, the King, LeBron. So it's like, yo, you talk about an elite company. It don't get no better than
you in the VIP room behind the velvet rope, behind the other velvet rope that most people don't even know exists.
Right. So I'm not mad at him for being in that position.
Right.
But for the fan, they're like, yo, man, he making too much money, man. I need more from him. If Brad could play, it's going to sound crazy. He could play 60 games. 65 would be great.
65 would be great.
65 would be great. But if he could play 65 games, an average 22, something like that, shoot, because look, his numbers was almost 50% from the field, 40 from three, and 80 or so from the free throw line. If he goes 50, 40, 80, you're taking that. With 65 games. But if it's 50-something games again, he's out for like 2 weeks, and it's like having those stretches where now you're like, oh man, we're without him because he hit some, because they played the game in Chicago. He hit a huge shot at the end of the game to seal it. Now, granted, it's Chicago, but we get it. But you could see, like, okay, man, when he's in it, when he's on, like he's knocking down 4 or 5 threes. He's competing. He's a guy that can get into the paint, which is why he had the ball a lot, because Budenholzer was like, we need somebody to get into the paint. And Brad was really the only one that could do it consistently, but then he didn't consistently play. So you need him to I don't know what they got to do treatment-wise or whatever. Maybe this is just what he's going to be the rest of his career. But they got to find something to keep him healthy on the court. And maybe it's less minutes. Maybe you don't play him. Maybe you're playing him around 30. Maybe that's what you're doing. I don't know. But if he's going to be on the roster, you got to figure that out. And then, like you mentioned behind that, you got Ryan Dunn. You got him as far as someone that can help you moving forward, a defensive guy, but you got to get a big point guard. I get Devin's there, but you still need something when Devin wants to be off the ball. Tyus Jones, it didn't work out. Didn't work. So if you don't go out, and you need a backup point guard, and then you need wings that can score it, defend. If you look at the teams that are in the finals, okay, so you got a bunch of wing guys that shoot threes and defend.
Yep. And
then Indiana has, Nesmith, they got wing guys that can play, but their perimeter is Halliburton, is Nembhard. If you look at those guys, that's helping. And then Siakam is that kind of that 4-man that they post up, you can shoot it. He's a rare dude. Like I think he's showing in the postseason. Like you're looking like, oh, okay, yeah, that's him. You know what I mean? So he's a rare guy. If you luck up and get something like that, then now that's younger. You're like, wow. But the reality is, I look at Wolves. I know obviously Rockets. That's been the team out there. The sexy pick is the Knicks, the Spurs. So there's teams, and they'll get something. But, whoever they get, those guys got to be plug-ins. Okay, you're starting, and then we'll build around that.
Yeah. I wanted to circle back and talk about my boy KD for a minute, just because there was a brief moment, where the Celtics are like, ooh,
You know?
But as I'm looking at KD's situation, I'm looking at what the Celtics, because the Celtics, they're going to have to make some major moves this offseason, just because their salary cap is. I mean, there's the second apron, and then when you look down the road and you see a very, 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 very small vehicle that's, they're down the road, but you can't really see who it is. That's the Celtics, because whatever that second apron line has been, they have blown past that doing 80. And they now need to slow down a little bit, which means they got to do some things to the roster. Can you see a scenario where Kevin Durant is a Boston Celtic next year?
I can't, because the Suns are over the second apron. So both of them, you can't aggregate people.
I see that might be Phoenix instead of
right. Phoenix is right behind them. They're bumper to bumper, yo. The bumper to bumper are going to Vegas. I'm telling you, like on one of those roads that just there's nothing for miles and miles and miles. That they had Michael B. Jordan on when he was training, right? Creed 2, I think. That's the road both of those teams are on. The Arizona, Vegas desert, whatever it was. But no, I can't. But I mean, if it happens, it would be crazy. But I just
would be.
I just can't see it. I just can't see it. I mean, but again, they just got to do it. I mean, it's and look, there's a KD fan base that's like, Suns are stupid if they trade Kevin Durant. Then there's part of that KD fan base that's like, yeah, my man got to get out of there. Like he don't need to be there. Then there's a Suns part of the fan base is going, man, why would we trade our best player? Then there's a Suns fan base is going, man, it didn't work. And we can't move Brad. So we got to move Kevin. So it's a lot something. Right, they got to do something. So it's Kevin's got, and again, from my perspective, a reporter perspective, look, man, Kevin was gold. All right, he was gold. Like, you couldn't go wrong. You rolling sevens every time.
I listen to some of your press conferences, and I hear your question, and he gives you that keep it at 100 response. Right, that's what you want.
Right. So I enjoyed it, and if he goes, hey, bring in the next one. But either way, it's unfortunate because this should have led to at least playing in the finals at some point, and it didn't. And that's what they were shooting for. Now that they are bringing in a first-year head coach, and you believe they're going to keep him more than 1 year, because that was the whole thing. Like they moving these coaches. They're like, no, we got to win now, okay? And Monty, we don't think it's you, Vogel. We don't think it's you, Budenholzer. It's not you. And so then they're like, yo, and now they reached the point where they're like, man, we got to
start over.
We got to start over. Oh, let's rethink it. You know what I mean? Let's rethink it. And the rethinking is, unfortunately, move Kevin Durant.
Yeah. Before we go any further, want to give a quick shout out to our good friends at Prizepicks. You can cash in on the basketball playoffs with Prizepicks. Don't miss your last chance to add your favorite players from the court to your Prizepicks lineup. Whether it's points, rebounds, assists, take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. On Prizepicks, you can mix and match your player projections from the different sports. Combine your favorite baseball players with basketball, with hockey, esports even, and much, much more. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prizepicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prizepicks, which is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. And if you want in, it's real simple. You just download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's download the app, use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prizepicks, run your game. And as we look at your Phoenix Suns, because they damn sure ain't mine, I want us to talk about the future of this franchise, and we've done a little bit of that, but what's a realistic expectation if I'm a Phoenix Suns fan for this upcoming season? Is it play-in? Is it playoffs? Is it NBA Finals? Hell no. What is it? Ooh, did that slip out? Oops.
It did. No, the finals, that shouldn't even be in their main frame right now. It just shouldn't. I mean, it's nice to have aspirations, but that shouldn't be one of them. I think what you should look for is a restart in terms of how you're going to play the game. The Suns' rep now is just not it's a bad one as far as how they play, because they just got smashed in too many games. It was like just the level of competitiveness, just letting teams just walk them. You can't have that. And so I think that from that perspective, okay, what are the Suns? Are the Suns going to establish some kind of identity of what they are? Because it really was coming down to they were a shot-making team who had these three players, and that was it. And, not a defensive team. Defense was horrible. Turnover team, just turned the ball over too much. Okay, what are they going to hang their hat on? So that's Jordan Knox's job. Okay, what are you going to be? So we all want to see that. And then from there, man, it's like, and the West is just so stacked. Like it's Minnesota. I mean, we know OKC. We understand that. It's OKC. It's Minnesota. It's Denver, Houston, Golden State. With Jimmy and Steph. Okay, what's that's going to look like with a whole year of basketball? Like what could we expect from that? And then Rockets, Spurs. I mean, there's just too many teams right now. When I'm looking at it, Dallas, healthy Kyrie with Anthony Davis. What if they just decide to just draft Cooper Flag? Or what if they just go ahead and do it? I mean, come on, man. Like the Suns should be thinking, hey, look, let's just try to improve month by month. And where are we in February? Okay, are we in a position to make a run here? I would like to think I like to think that a Devin Booker team with some quality talent around him should be able to make the playoffs. I would like to think that. Devin is in prime of his career. He's up for an extension. He's going to take it.
As he should.
He's going to take it. So he should, so that you can build a team around him of some, because man, this the money he hasn't gotten full value for the dollar. I think the less he spends, the more he'll see, wow, okay, man, okay, I'm getting that out of that, and I'm only paying that. I'm getting that out of that, and I'm only paying that. Right now, his money he's spending is like, yo, man, that's been part of the issue. The dude is spending all this money. And these taxes that they're paying, these luxury taxes, like, yo, you're not getting what you need out of that dollar. You're a businessman. At some point, I think he'll figure that out. Hopefully for the Suns, he'll figure that out, and then they'll make better decisions with the roster. But they've been forced to do certain stuff because of the apron, but being over second apron. But the reality is that if they can get, like I say, a couple of really good players out of the Durant trade, and then the draft pick, don't tell them where it might be. Maybe you get something in this year or certainly next year or the year after. But the reality is that they can get some really good players around Devin. Not great, because you're looking at Indiana right now. You're seeing like you have Halliburton, Siakam, and then they just got really good players around those guys. They don't have. Like, you're not looking at, and I'm a huge fan of Nembhard. Like I think he is just a guy.
That ankle break that he put on SGA.
Oh my God! Like that dude. I mean, listen, man. The Suns would take a guy like him yesterday. Right. I mean, because he can get his own shot. If they can get a certain amount of that kind of mix, and again, Indiana, I think it's been some perfect storm stuff going on with them too. Right. As far as how they won games, come behind down 20, like they consistently prove that the 20-point lead means nothing. Right. So I would think if the Suns could, and then the coaching, okay, how quickly does he adapt? How quickly does he figure it out? Okay, well, this is what we can do. What's the adjustments? Because with Budenholzer, he didn't make adjustments. The game was going a certain way, and it was like, okay, we'll just ride this. No, you can't just ride this. Now you're down 20, so I want to see Ott in this world. And what are they doing during the season? Are they going to be a team that, okay, let's let coach work with this, or is it going to be moving? Okay, look, let's make a deal here. Let's make a deal there. So I'm curious to see all of that and how they work the season. But again, really good players around Devin Booker should be a playoff team. It's a challenge to do that in the West, but that should be a playoff team. But out of all the teams, and I didn't even say Memphis. Like, I could go on and keep naming teams, the Clippers. I mean, it's constant, And out of all the teams in the West, the only one I'm looking at and going is Utah. Mm-hmm. Everyone else, you got to deal with. Yeah. And so the Suns got to deal with that. A play-in situation, yeah, I could see that. And then being a 7 or an 8. And because you want to be able to not just fall completely off the cliff.
Right. You
want to be able to, okay, look, we're still relevant here. And as long as they can show improvement, I think that will be something that they can build on moving forward. Because, again, you got to keep Jordan out more than 1 year. I'm sorry. You cannot hire a first-year guy and then just fire him after 1 year. I get what the trend has been, but if the Michigan State thing means anything, if it means anything at all, he's got to get more than 1 year. Now, if he gets fired after 1 year and they have a bad season, he gets fired, that just tells you, well, that Michigan State stuff didn't matter at all. You're not our guy. You out of here. But the Michigan State stuff has got to at least kick in as far as when they hired him. And he's been ready to be an NBA head coach, but he's got to get more than 1 year.
Absolutely. And, when you talk about talent, I mean, let's just keep it 100. Steve Nash ain't walking through that door.
No,
Charles Barkley ain't walking through that door. Tom Chambers ain't walking through that door. Right. Eddie Johnson is walking through that door to do his broadcast work, but he ain't walking out on that floor to knock out some jumpers.
Right.
So if you don't, and to me, when you look at this NBA Finals, if one of the many, I think, common threads that both of these teams have is that they're deep. Like, they can literally interchange. Like, they've got their starting 5, but at least 3 or 4 guys in their starting 5, you could plug and play someone in that spot and have very little disruption to what you do. When you look at the NBA Finals, what jumps out to you, aside from that, but what else jumps out to you about this particular NBA Finals, and how do you see it playing out, as we kind of head into, these next few games?
I mean, I want to see OKC respond. I mean, it's like you're
pointing in the mouth hard.
Right. I want to see them respond. I just want to. I'm looking at game 2 and I'm like, okay, y'all, they should win the game. I mean, I think they should win the game and then move. And then I want to see where it happens with the series. I want to see OKC respond for one. What's interesting, I know it's the whole small market and this and that and the third, and I get that. But Tyrese Halliburton has become this name now. Like,
somebody gonna get paid.
Right. You can't
that paycheck.
The whole small market thing. Tyrese is becoming box office now, where you're watching and going like watching the end of the game when Toppin gave him the ball. I'm like, oh, he's shooting this. I'm like, oh, he's shooting this right here. He ain't passing the ball. So he's box office now. So now it's like that makes Indiana. They're back in that Reggie Miller. I want to see the Pacers play ball. And so it's funny because that team reminds me of that Indiana team as far as that depth you're talking about. Like, they had Jay Rose, they had Travis Beth, like they were the guard with Mark Jackson. Right. The Davis brothers, Schmitz, it's a reminder of kind of the depth that they had on that team. Some McKee, like they had like depth, and that's what this team is. So I find that interesting. But I'm looking at OKC, and I'm like, are you getting? Did your coach get revealed? Like Rick Carlisle's that old, vet.
Rick's my guy.
Rick's that old But because the word is, I coach Tibbs, so now it's like, is he going to outcoach Dagnon? Like, is that what's going to happen here? And that's what makes Indiana, if I'm OKC, I'm like, we have the better team. We have the MVP, but they got something that we got to deal with.
His name's
it's
Rick
more
Carlisle.
than one thing. Right, it's Rick Carlisle. And they got to be thinking that we forced all those turnovers because that's what we do. And we lost.
And we still caught one.
We still lost. So what happens if Indiana protects the ball? What happens
by 20?
It's just Indiana, like in the finals, as you well know, like personalities and people start to become known now. Like, okay, now we know, like here in Arizona, we know who TJ McConnell is.
Right.
Like we know who he is. Like the Suns fans have been wanting TJ McConnell to play for the Suns every year on the year. Like every year they're like, how come they're not trying to get him? It's like every year they're screaming for this guy to come on. But now you're watching him and you're like, wow, like the dude is a factor.
Yeah.
He's a factor when you're watching him play. He's part of the depth that they have. And it's like OKC has ran into something that now they cannot afford to sleep on any of this because you can't go down 0-2. No. You just can't.
No.
They lucky it's not 2-3-2 like it used to be, where you spend a whole a year in one city, because that was the whole Miami-Dallas series with D Wade, where Dallas was in Miami. You can't tell me South Beach didn't play a role in that series. I don't care what
it definitely helped. It helped the home team.
So what are you thinking though when you look at the final?
Well, I mean, I from the very beginning felt that Rick Carlisle was going to be the wild card / X factor, and again, a lot of that has to do with the fact that Rick's first head coaching job was in Detroit when I was in Detroit, and so I've literally seen him from the very beginning of his coaching odyssey to where he's at now. Right. And that first team he had, 2001, 2002 Detroit Pistons team, that team was only supposed to win like maybe 15, 20 games. They won 50.
Right.
FIFTY 50 50. And when I look back at how they won, Rick is one of the best coaches at making the most out of the least. And by that, I simply mean if he has a team that has certain weaknesses and certain shortcomings, he's going to find a way to basically put a little plaster over that so you don't see it. Right. And whatever they do pretty good, they're going to be great at that. Like Rick realized early that, I don't have a team that's going to lock kids up defensively. I got guys who like to shoot. I got guys who can make some shots. So we're just going to run. We're just going to try to wear teams out. And what they've done this year, and I think this doesn't get enough credit or enough attention, is that they become a significantly better team defensively. You look at the last 15 games of the regular season, they were like a top 5 defense in the NBA. And when you look at their record, like the last 20, 25 games, record-wise, they're among the best teams.
Right, they were second, okay,
so they were trending in the right direction to be where they're at now. And again, I come back to what is it that they can do that gives them some type of an advantage, or at a minimum will allow them to compete. And it's Rick freaking Carlisle. He already got a check. And Gary Washburn, who is not here, but Gary vouched for me. I have been like having my Rick Carlisle pom-poms.
You've been on it
for years. And it's because I've seen like that first team that won 50 games. I'm gonna tell you right now, and this is no disrespect to that team, but there's no way in hell that team should have won 50 games. And they had guys who just believed in Rick, and Rick believed in them. And I mean, they would win games like 89, 85. I mean, they just didn't have guys who could score. So they said, we're just going to lock y'all up. We are going, and Ben Wallace was on that squad. Right, so as you can, I don't got to say no more than that.
You don't got to say nothing. Big Ben, we know who he is.
Exactly. It was all about defense. And then he would later have teams where they were really, good offensively, and he leaned into that. They became all of a sudden shot-chucking teams. So he's able to adapt, and, he's going against a coach who's got a great team and has had a great season. But we've seen enough NBA basketball to know that there's a different gear that you got to shift into when you get to the playoffs. And the deeper you get into the playoffs, you better have some more gear shifts. You better be able to shift into a supernova state if you really want to win it, especially if you got a team that doesn't quite match up talent-wise with your opponent. You got to have someone that's a difference maker. And to me, Indiana has two. Head coach Rick Carlisle, Tyrese Halliburton.
Right.
The most overrated player in the NBA, apparently. And we can't pretend as if that hasn't been a factor, because you look at the moment that came out, Rick Carlisle goes on and basically says, this is some bullshit.
Yes.
And from that point on, Tyrese was like, you're right, coach, it is.
Right. You got my back. Right.
I'm glad you got my back. Let me show you how we're going to do this. Right. And then people start going through the receipts and realize, oh, my God, this dude has been clutch like all year. Yeah. He's literally, when he's been in clutch situation, he's been him. And so now it's like, oh, well, of course they're where they're supposed to be. And the revisionist history surrounding the Indiana Pacers this year has been amazing. Yes, I didn't realize they had all these people who knew they were going to be this good. Come on, folks, stop it. Stop it.
Listen, real quick, I'm going to apologize to Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh,
I didn't vote on the over. Obviously, I don't have the overrated thing going.
I wish I had the apology can that we can put up right now because the apology can will be in full effect right now.
This is why I'm going to apologize. Well, first, the Suns should have drafted him. I wrote a huge story before the draft. They should have drafted. They drafted Jalen Smith. Do you know where Jalen Smith is right now? Okay. We know where Tyrese Halliburton is playing in the final. That's the first thing. Now, granted, hindsight 2020, Chris Paul, they ended up getting him. Chris Paul, after these, him and Devin go to the finals that year. So it's understandable, but Tyrese was the better player and pick at that moment than Jalen Smith. So that's one. Two, out of the 15 players that I picked for All NBA, I got 13 of them. The only two I did not get, Evan Mobley, Tyrese Halliburton.
Ooh.
My apologies, Tyrese Halliburton.
Tyrese is probably like, that's all right. I appreciate that energy, though.
My apologies. I had, I think, Segun and from Houston and Trae Young was my third team. I don't know. Trae just, I mean, Trae, it's just not happening. Like, he could average 30 and 10. He's not going to be an All-NBA player. But again, my apologies, sir. You're doing your thing. So I had to say that.
All right, and we're gonna get out of here on that note, because that's a good note. I was just non-committal on Tyrese. I'm like, yeah, all right, player. But I don't think he's a great player. He's not. Has he been better than people thought? Absolutely. But I think the trigger for a lot of people is like, basically they were just saying that this dude is trash.
Yeah.
That's the part.
He's not trash. No, he was. He's never trash. He was never
right.
trash.
Right. I mean, you start looking at the company that he will keep forever because of some of the things he's done in the playoffs. I mean, you can't just have a good game and do what he's doing. You have to be a really, really good player. And he's certainly showing that. The only difference that when I've talked to scouts who watched him, going all the way back to college to now, they said the biggest difference with him is consistency. Like, he's shown flashes of doing all the stuff that we see now. Yeah. It's just that you would get this once a month or you get it once every 6 weeks. And now you're getting it like every 2 to 3 days. And then then he may have one bad game. And then he follows that up with an amazingly awesome game that was like the previous 2 or 3 before the bad game. So I give him credit. He's stepping his game up. Before we get out of here, though, for those of you listening to this show, we ask that you subscribe to the podcast, like and leave a review. And for those watching the show on CLNS, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the CLNS Media and Celtics All Access YouTube channel, where you can find our show and a lot of other great Celtics and NBA content, which is what we're bringing today. And one more thing, please make sure to turn on your notifications so you know the instant a new video drops. And any parting words from you, Duane?
Only parting words that I have is Tyrese Halliburton. It's insane. Like, but the only parting word I have outside that is that it just shows you how good Indiana is. Because if he misses the shot, he's 12 points, 10 assists, 5 of 14 from the field. The team is good enough that he can have that kind of game and be right there to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to give him his props, but the team itself, man, if Indiana wins this series, yeah, I'm leaving it at that. If Indiana wins this series.
Exactly. Well, all I know is my guy Rick Carlisle is doing the damn thing. Halliburton doing the damn thing, and former Celtic Aaron Nesmith. All of a sudden, he's acting like he's Gary Payton, like he's Gary Payton all over again. So shout out to Aaron Nesmith, the former Celtic, who by the way, when he was traded to Indiana, the Celtics were able to get Malcolm Brogdon in return, and Malcolm got Sixth Man of the Year, then got hurt, but they were able to flip that and get Drew Holiday later on. So it worked out well for
Worked out for both.
But the revisionist history is like, man, they should have kept Aaron Nesmith. Come on, stop, folks. Stop it. Just stop it. Anyway, we go on and on all day long, but we will not. So we're going to cut it here. But listen, again, Duane, my man, appreciate you as always. And again, for those, again, subscribe to the podcast, like and leave a review. Let Duane know how much you love him. And again, all the great content that he's producing out there covering the Phoenix Suns for the Arizona Republic. For Duane Rankin, I'm Sherrod Blakely, and this is the Big Three NBA Podcast. We are out.